All right, we're moving into the next unit. We're going to talk about forces before we get into some of the specific laws. Let's talk about two things that will really help us, two concepts. The first one is called free body diagrams, often shortened to FBDs. So let's take, for example, this book sitting on this lovely table. When we draw a free body diagram, we only draw the object that we're interested in. And in this case, it is the book. And we write the forces, we draw the forces that are acting on this book as it sits there on the table. We're going to represent these forces by vectors, arrows, certain length, and all vectors will start on the object and move away. We will never have a vector arrow ending on our object in our free body diagram. So for this book, we've got the good old force of gravity is acting on it. Yes. And since it's not going down, there's got to be something pushing it back up, and it's the force from the table. And we call the force from the table or the ground, we call this the normal force. And since the book is not moving, these two forces would have to be equal. I'll put normal force. Okay. So let's go down to the next example. We've got a car zipping along, a sleek sports car. Again, I only draw the object itself that I'm interested in. Okay. Steering wheel, little guy driving it. It's going this way. If it's driving this way, the engine must be forcing it forward in some way. I am not going to draw an arrow on this side pointing this way. All arrows start on the object and move away. So I've got some sort of applied force, or you might want to call it the force from the engine. Gravity's pulling this guy down. Now, is it going into the ground? No. So something's got to be balancing this force. Something's got to be pointing up. And again, it is this new force. I just called it the normal force is balancing it. And if our little man in here is to take his foot off the gas, this car would definitely start to slow down. So there's got to be some friction slowing it down. And friction always acts opposite the direction of motion. So there's a free body diagram for the car. And right now you might say, well, who cares about that? But later on when we're doing some math problems, these diagrams will become very useful. Next idea is net force. Here is somebody standing in the middle and two people, blue guy and green guy, are trying to rip this person apart. Let's say that blue guy is pulling with a force of 250 newtons. And green guy is not quite as strong and is pulling with a force of 200 newtons. Wait a second. Help me. Help me. The net force is after things have canceled each other out. Okay? Kind of like your net pay. If you have a job and you're making, whatever, $15 an hour, you work 2 hours, you might think, wow, I'm going to get $30. But you're not. There's going to be all sorts of things taken off, all sorts of deductions like tax and unemployment insurance and so on. And so your net pay is what you actually get after everything's taken away. And this net force is the actual force acting on something after everything is considered. And here, the net force would be this way, and it would be how big? 50 newtons. Perfect. Two concepts. Really brief, to the point. See ya.